Welcome, Chiefs Kingdom, or should I say Guten Tag, to all of our listeners in Frankfurt, Germany today. I'm your host, CJ Jones, with my buddy, my partner in crime, my friend, my brother, Chris Timpany. Chris, how are we doing on another warm day in Kansas City? Kind of chilly in Frankfurt, Germany, game day, my friend. Game week, sorry.
Guten Tag. Indeed, I think that's the most German you're going to get out of this episode. And
Facts, that's
you
a
know,
fact.
you think it's crazy saying that we are going to have listeners in Frankfurt, but my parents are out in Frankfurt. They're going to the game, man. So we
What?
are going to
Shout
have
out to the
we
Timpany's.
we are going to have listeners in Germany to this. They told me to make sure to send them. They also told me to make sure I give them a shout out because they're pretty hyped for this game. So a long flight out there as
Shout out
all
Mom and Pop Timpany, man. That's what's up. That's fire. Y'all really out there? That's lit. Tell them get
dude.
all the beers they can get.
Oh man, yeah, I couldn't believe it. They were trying to get me to go out there, and I was like, unless you paying for a whole other person,
I'm gonna do it, ma. I ain't got
I
it.
ain't got that kind of dough yet. So no, shout out to my mom and dad going out there. I know they're super excited, so that's going to be a
That's
lot of
dope,
fun.
man.
As I know Chiefs Kingdom is in general, because like it's Dolphins week, man. This game was going to be hyped regardless
Where it's at for
of where
sure.
it was being played. The fact that it's out in Germany, man, like the first real hype game of the year for me. Like, the Lions obviously week 1, but like it's still the Lions. It didn't have quite that wow factor.
Yeah.
The Chargers always bring in energy. The Jacksonville game, but it was like noon early on. This is the
Hmm.
first time where it's like this feels like two teams that can be in the AFC Championship game. And then, oh, by the way, we've got that storyline with number 10 over there in Miami. So like, just kind of overall thoughts heading into this Dolphins game, man.
No, absolutely. This was going to be one of the biggest, probably four games on our schedule. We all looked at it: the Miami game, Philly after the bye, then we got Buffalo, and then Cincinnati shortly after that. So this is one of the four biggest games on our schedule. Like Chris said, this is a team we'll probably see in January. If not, we could see them in the AFC Championship game in Kansas City as well. So this is a team that's been playing really good ball this year. They have their flaws just like us, but overall, we're going to have to come in there with an edge. And this is kind of like we said on our previous episode earlier this week. There's never like you don't want to be a guy that's like there's moral victories in a loss. Like we played bad. But the only good thing you can take from loss is that teams usually respond to adversity, and this team has always done that. Andy Reid's tenure, he's 40-11 after a loss. Patrick Mahomes averages 324 yards after a loss as well. And I looked up a funny stat that Chiefs Kingdom would like because we know Pacheco didn't get enough touches. When Isaiah Pacheco gets 15 plus carries, Chris, guess what the Chiefs record is?
Well, they got like two losses,
9-0.
9-0. Okay, yeah.
9-0. So give Pop ball equals Chiefs W. Essentially, that's what the numbers are telling me. So definitely a week that was bizarre to see him not touch the ball. And McKinnon, like we said in our last episode, those guys combined for like 14 touches. That should never happen, obviously. So I would like to see their numbers put together times two. That's what I would like to see their touches be. So
Right. It's so funny in a game to where everyone wants to talk about the passing games, Mahomes and Kelsey and Tua and Waddle and Hill. It
mhm.
really comes down to the running game with
Absolutely.
the Dolphins have the number one rushing team in all of football. They have
Raheem
there's the
Mostert.
most yards per carry. They have the most rushing yards. Mostert's been doing it out there. And then also, like what you just said with the Chiefs, can they at least have the running game be a threat? Can they get Pacheco 15 plus carries? It seems to end up pretty well for them. The other interesting thing too is the defenses. The Chiefs defenses is playing well, and it sounds like the Dolphins may be getting both guys back. We know Jalen Ramsey, future Hall of Famer Jalen Ramsey, played last week, got an interception his first game back.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds like Xavier Howard, another All Pro Bowl type corner, might might be going this game. How big of a deal is that if they got both their corners going?
No, that's a big deal for them because coming into the season, this is what they envisioned for that defense. They have Jalen Phillips and Bradley Chubb off the edge, and to have their back end duo at corner and Jalen and Xavier. So, and we know how this goes. If there's any game on your schedule, when you see the Chiefs pop up, guys all of a sudden start getting a little healthier. Chris, getting off that injury report, huh? The legs start feeling a little looser, and the arms start getting feeling a little better. So, I don't expect anything less than everybody, and we should want it this way because I don't want no excuses, Chris. Everybody out there, get the best guys out there that can play, and let's line up and play football.
Yeah, the thing about it too is like how much does it matter because the Chiefs can't the receivers can't get open with nobody's covering them. Like, does it really matter?
Got to catch
Like,
the ball regardless. Somebody's around you or
exactly.
not, right?
Like, I don't know if those two, like we've seen Jalen last year when he was in on the Rams try to cover
Yeah,
Travis, and Travis
that didn't
cooked
look
him then. So like
for a tutty too. Yeah,
yeah, none of these guys are going to be asked, or even if they are asked, have shown to be effective against Travis. So like yeah, it's nice, and yeah, they're good corners. Don't get me wrong, but the key to this team to stopping this Chiefs offense still comes down to stopping 87, and I don't know if they have a guy that can do that. Like
no,
the
absolutely.
like
I
the
think
Broncos were physical last week. They put two guys on it, and they got what we say about Jewel and Simmons. Like those guys are some physical up the
for
middle
sure.
players.
Hmm.
Does Miami have anyone like that?
Not necessarily. Their linebacking core is not the best. Obviously, they have Javon Holland back there at safety, so they have some good athletes back there in the secondary. But I looked at the stats. The Dolphins are bottom 5 in the league at covering tight ends, and they've not faced a lot of talent up to the par. Obviously, Travis Kelce. They played Dallas Goedert in Philly. They played Dawson Knox, who had the decent game, and Dalton Kincaid in Buffalo. So they've had some decent matchups, nothing crazy. But to go against, like you said, the best tight end in football, who's really not a tight end, he's just an athlete out there playing tight
Right.
end. So it's going to be a tough job for anyone, but definitely a team that's trending towards struggling to cover that position. That bodes well for our offense, especially coming off a loss, and we expect guys to get going. And everything is just lined up. Like usually, when you've heard all the sentiments this week about Kelsey on the New Heights show and guys in their pressers before and after the game, guys are pretty pissed off about what they did last week. And I think you're definitely going to get a more motivated Andy Reid and probably a little pissed off number 15 going into Frankfurt. So anytime you see 15 and 87 on the same page and they're headbutting before the game and talking in pressers, and they're giving 1 and 2 word answers. I think they asked Mahomes the other day, "Do you think this will turn into a snowball effect?" He said it won't, and then just walked off. So when guys don't usually elaborate and give out 1 or 2 word responses, I think we know what kind of mentality this team has going into Germany on Sunday for sure.
Yeah, they clearly want it. Again, it is a little concerning. Like, you can want it all you want. I think Patrick wants it every week. I think Travis wants it every week. And still, there's been some struggles, because other
For
guys
sure.
haven't stepped up. I mean, we talk about it so much, and I get tired of it, but like we have to because it's the number one thing sitting over this team is just someone else has to step up. You can't you can triple cover Travis with the way this offense is working right now in the pass game. Like which guy is it going to be this week? And we kind of talked about it a little bit. If I had to pick one, I'm believe it or not, I'm going KT. I think going into the bye, knowing they have an extra week, knowing that this is a statement game. Some people
Hmm.
think Kadarius Toney isn't getting snaps because he's just fell out of favor. They brought in McCole Hardman who has similar skill set, yada yada yada. I
Hmm.
think it's because of a health thing.
I agree.
And so I think that you're going to see his usage go up and that he's going to get opportunities. Now, if he plays like he did against the Lions, ain't going to matter. But if he plays like he did against Jacksonville last year, that's a real weapon that the Chiefs could have.
No, absolutely. You could tell his snaps have been kind of managed to this point. And like you said in our last episode, Chris, the man got hurt the third punt return of training camp, not the
Before the
season.
O-line got down the hill, man.
Literally was taking catches. And I watched the whole thing. I was there in practice. He caught 4 or 5 punts, was dancing after each and every one of them, and then just walked off the field and never came back to practice. Said he tweaked something. And then next thing we know, he sat out the rest of training camp. And we didn't see him again until week 1 versus the Detroit Lions. And then his drop issue came upon. And that's what happens when you don't practice for like 4 weeks. So um, we know what kind of special player KT is. He lives for these moments. And the biggest moments last year, he showed up for us. So I can't knock him too much for it. Um, I think it kind of has been a managing situation because me and Chris said this before the season. I've kind of told everybody this week. I didn't need to see KT play a lot of snaps until after the bye, honestly, in my opinion. Just because I know what type of talent he is for this offense. He's explosive. Every time he touches the ball, he can make a play, get a first down for us. But his body doesn't allow him to play as many snaps. It just is what it is. So there's a reason they don't have him play that much. Because if you overuse him now and then you lose them for a long period of time, then you just kind of wasted them just because you wanted to overuse them at any point during the season. But this week, I think there's special circumstances, like Chris's point said. I think KT should play a lot this week. I expect him to get upwards of, let's say, Chris. I need KT at least get about 5 or 6 targets. I would like to see that for sure this week. Maybe a couple like reverses and plays in the backfield as well. He's one of our most explosive players, one of our most dynamic players on this offense. So he definitely should be getting volume this week. To Chris's point, we have a bye week after this week, so there's no more saving guys. There's nothing next week you're waiting for. You got a whole 2 weeks, regardless if you win or lose, to sit on this game. So this is a week where I expect nobody to be held back. I expect to see Jet McKinnon, KT, Pop, all their touches and snaps to go up this week because this is a must-win game for sure.
So what? We're on the same page. You don't have someone else that you're picking KT just like me.
Mm-mm. All everybody's explosive. Everybody will have their plays and their moments, but KT, when he has the ball in his hands, he's our most dynamic player. There's a reason they hyped him up in the offseason, and I get it. But from a football standpoint, the history showed you he can't stay
Right.
legitimately healthy for 10 plus weeks. So the talent is there. The stability of his body is not there. So that's why if they're saving him for this game and we get a Kadarius Toney game like the Jaguars game last year to Christian's point, I love that because this is the moment when you want KT to be healthy, to save those snaps, to manage him until this game for this moment. So I expect to see KT have a big imprint on this game. Absolutely.
Yeah, because this game goes beyond just like you're playing a good team. The narrative where the team stands is all on the line. Because right now, what they're saying about the Dolphins is, yeah, you're 6-2 and all, or 5-2. I can't remember if they had their bye or not, but like you
Mm-hmm.
lost the only two teams that you have played, or the only two good teams you played, Buffalo and Philly, you lost to. That's the narrative. Like, okay, they're beating up on the Broncos, they're beating up on the Bears, they're beating up on these lesser opponents. Can they hang on with the big boys? Well, if the Dolphins beat the Chiefs, not only does that narrative go away for the Dolphins, it immediately gets shifted onto the Chiefs. Like, obviously, this team gets a little bit more of a buy on this kind of stuff because of the Super Bowls, because of the success. But if you're looking at this year in a vacuum, it's like, okay, you lost to the Dolphins. You lost to uh, the Lions. Okay, you didn't place great against the Jaguars, even though you won that game. And then your other wins are against the Bears or one times against the Broncos. The 2 or I guess now 3-5 Chargers. Like that narrative immediately shifts onto the Chiefs being like, okay, are they really a scary team? Which they always are because again, they have the Super Bowls, but like there's gonna be people talking if they drop this game and don't have that signature win under their belt.
Absolutely. I've been talking to a lot of fans this week. This game essentially it doesn't lock up anything, but this could be a big momentum shift. Obviously, this win will take you into the bye with great momentum, playing against a good football team after all the talk, and you're coming off a bad loss. Then you have Philly out on the other side of that bye as well, which is also a home game. But essentially, Chris, if we win this game, when you look at the layout of the AFC right now, the Chiefs are obviously tied for number one, right? If they beat Miami, they would have the tiebreaker over Miami, who would now have 3 losses. They've already beaten Jacksonville, so they have the tiebreaker over them. We don't play Baltimore this year. Cincinnati's already at 3 losses, and then Buffalo is at 3 losses as well. So obviously, this game holds a lot of weight for us because if we can essentially win this game and say we have those 3 big games left on our schedule, not overlooking anyone, obviously, because the second half of our schedule we play New England, Green Bay, the Raiders twice, and then we have those other 4 big games on our schedule. So not to overlook any of those lighter opponents, but the bigger games all at home being Philly, Buffalo, and Cincinnati. If you can win this game against the top team in the AFC, knock out that tiebreaker, I essentially think we would have a better record when it's all said and done when December ends than Buffalo, than Cincinnati. So if you can have the tiebreaker over Jacksonville and Miami, essentially this wouldn't lock up the number one seed, but it would give you great momentum towards getting that number one seed and trying to have the AFC Championship come through Arrowhead once again.
No, for sure. Because if they win this game, you can lose to Philly, an NFC team, and one of, probably not both, but one of Buffalo and Cincinnati. So you could
Mm-hmm.
drop essentially two of the last 3 games, big games that you have, and still be in a really good spot for the 1 seed if you're able to beat Miami. If you
Exactly.
lose, if you lose to Miami, that Philly game's still kind of weird because it is an NFC game. It's more,
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't necessarily other than win loss. If you lose
Doesn't
to
hurt us
Miami,
too much.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
if you lose to Miami, then you almost have to beat Buffalo, and then it's
And
trending.
Cincinnati.
It's trending to also Cincinnati. Like so,
Facts.
that's kind of where this game. So it'd be nice to kind of get this one out, give you some breathing room later instead of stressing everyone to the max down the line. And that's not even including a slip up against the Raiders or a slip up against the Patriots, which is always weird anytime you have to go to Foxborough. These other
Facts.
games on the schedule. So
Absolutely.
okay, we've beat around it enough. We haven't really talked about it, but the biggest storyline in this game, the Chiefs arguably greatest receiver of all time, Tyreek Hill, is on the other side. Who there's been a lot of conversation about the trade when it happened, and the Chiefs going to win the Super Bowl. Tyreek hasn't been shy because things that it need to be said. As he would like to say it on his podcast, like kind of what is your overall thoughts on Tyreek playing Kansas City for the first time since the trade?
It's a big moment, man. We knew this day was coming once we all saw the schedule. I think they usually drop the schedule 2 years ahead every season. So once the trade happened and they dropped the schedule the following year, we knew this was eventually going to happen. So definitely wish this game was in Kansas City. That would be an emotional moment for us and for him as well. Um, did the relationship end beautifully? I mean, not as best as it could have, but I mean, we did get the 2 Super Bowls with him. He had a great career here. He's been an All Pro, one of the best receivers in the league. Turned himself from a gadget running back athlete to one of the best receivers, if not the best receiver in football. So it's going to be a good matchup on both sides of the ball. If I'm Spags, obviously there's nobody better prepared to cover Tyreek Hill than Steve Spagnuolo, right? A guy that's seen you for the last 6 years, knows what you like, what you don't like, your strengths, your weaknesses, how to get them rattled, and things of that sort. So obviously, and the reason I'm more confident in this matchup than I was a year ago, Chris, is because of this defense. And me and Chris had these conversations all offseason. If this defense can't take that next step, it can be a strength for us when we have to face the great receivers like a Tyreek Hill or a Devontae Adams or Jamar Chase or Stephon Diggs. And even when we saw those guys in previous year, we played them well. But I think now we can actually not say lock down, but we could hold. We could even do more than just hold our own when you're going against Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill, the 2 fastest guys in football. So this will be a game where I expect us to mix up some coverages, blitz two at times. But the main thing, like you said, Chris, earlier, it comes down to stopping the run. I know that's boring because we want to hear about Tyreek Hill, but Tyreek Hill's going to get his yardage. I don't know what more analysis I can give you than that. We're not going to shut down Tyreek Hill. Like, oh, he's not going to get 30 yards. He's a great player. He's going to get his. Now, do I think we keep him under 100? I do think we do that, Chris. That is my mark for him. Now, does he score a touchdown within like those 60 to 80 yards? Yeah, he could probably do that. He's a great player. They'll get him touches. They'll manufacture things maybe in the red zone. But I think overall our defense is well prepared and equipped athletically to go out there and give us the best chance to keep him out of the end zone for multiple times for sure.
No, definitely. And to kind of go against what you were saying before that, you said it, it didn't end on the greatest terms. I think it ended on as greatest terms as it possibly could.
I think it did too.
Because
Honestly,
the Chiefs are going to be like, hey, we'll pay you this amount, and Tyreek's like, no, I want this amount, and the Chiefs said, no, but we'll trade you. Where do you want to go? Because remember, he got to pick where he
he
wanted to
did.
go.
New York or
The
Miami.
Jets were interested in Miami, and Tyreek said, all right, I'll go to Miami. And then he got to pay the highest. He's the highest paid receiver in the league at the
Got
time.
30 M's. Yeah.
I don't understand. If it was such a bad breakup, that would have meant like the Chiefs told Tyreek they were willing to pay him like 25 bill. They just weren't willing to pay him 20 or 30.
Exactly. And like 30 M's in Miami and 30 M's in Kansas City, I
There is
get the
quite a
tax,
bit. There's a
like state
difference.
tax. Yeah. So I'm not mad at them for choosing Miami. But like Chris said, we tried to pay you. We wanted you to stay. You chose to leave, which is free agency. You have your own free
Yeah,
will to do whatever you want to do. So I'm never mad at Tyreek for leaving. But
that's what
the sentiments that he makes don't
that's what
add up
makes it.
with
Yeah, that's
with
what makes it crazy. It makes it sound
absolutely.
like the Chiefs thought he was trash. No, dude, they were willing
Yeah,
to pay
no.
you a lot of money.
You're not the
But
only person on the team.
yeah, but again, you're on a team with three Hall of Famers, depending on how you feel about Chris Jones.
Exactly.
And you're the fourth Hall of Famer. Like, there's not, people are gonna have to take cuts. Patrick takes cuts. Travis takes cuts. Chris Jones is not really looking like he's taking cuts. And guess what? We've been talking about him on his way out for the last few months. So
Exactly. Nobody's
we
really getting the bag after you left. So
exactly. So again, that's what's driving me the most insane. The fact that at times he makes it feel like he was thrown away from Kansas City. It's like, no, dude.
yeah, we threw away the most dynamic receiver in
Yeah,
football.
you think that the Kansas City really wanted to do it? No, but guess what? If we don't do it, then we don't have. We don't have McDuffie, we don't have Bolton, we don't have
George
just the money to
Karlaftis,
get Justin
Brian Cook.
Reed.
Yep. All
Like
these guys.
there were moves made because of this that allows the Chiefs, to build a better overall team. So I don't know, that stuff drives me insane. But to go back on the actual football stuff, if I am McDaniels, I'm drawing everything up for Waddle because everyone's going to be looking at Tyreek. The passion's there, whether it's Snead following him around or whoever's there's going to be that extra motivation. There's going to be all this attention. Yet you have a borderline another number one receiver on the other side and Waddle.
Absolutely.
I'm giving him the rock. And I know that'd be difficult to ask of Tyreek to be like, hey, I know you're motivated to this game, but we think the Chiefs are gonna oversell to try to stop you. We got this other dude, this other speedster number 17 over there that's gonna get some yards. That's what I would do. Now it's in Germany, it's prime time. Narratives sometimes take over. Do I think that they're going to necessarily do that? No, I think Miami's going to get Tyreek involved in the passing game as much as they can. But like that's just kind of what I would do.
No,
Hey,
absolutely. I think McDaniels knows that now. Does Tua decide to do that?
yeah, that's true. That's true. Just
That's
do it.
that's that's a bigger decision because Tyreek's gonna be in a huddle like, yeah, I know this play designed for Waddle, but we about to switch. Hey,
Right.
Jalen, go over there. I got this. Like every play design this week that's designed for the big play, Tyreek's gonna run it every time.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I expect nothing less. Obviously, this is a great matchup for him and for us. It's a big game for both teams and for it has everything you go on. This game checks all the boxes. It has playoff implications. It has storylines. There's
It's
some good
another country.
athletes. That's another country. You have obviously off the field narratives that are going with the Taylor and Trav thing going on. Tyreek Hill talking trash to us, and obviously Chris Jones and him jabbing at each other in social media via podcast. So there's all the narratives that this box and this game could check that are checked for this game going over there. And so we're coming off a loss. They're playing good football at times. So Jalen Ramsey versus Travis Kelce from last year. Obviously, you have, and it's also funny. I remember years ago when Jalen Ramsey called Tyreek Hill just a punt returner. I wonder what he's saying now that he's on your team. Probably that opinion probably changed a little bit. So
Yeah, I think it's
this
changed.
game
They cooked him that same week. So
probably I would hope so. So, but this game has everything you could want in it. Honestly, like me and Chris said, there's really not too much to talk about that we haven't talked about. Probably the most exciting thing I'm excited to see is I think we have a great chance to dominate from a football standpoint. Is we have a great defensive line, and that's
yeah,
one thing that the Dolphins have struggled with via injuries and guys not playing well at times. Is their offensive line? Teron Armstead, their left tackle, has been in and out the lineup. Carter Williams, their starting center. I heard he practiced this week, so he's going to give it a go. Like Chris said earlier, Xavier Howard, Jalen Ramsey, everybody's fighting to get off the injury report for this kind of game. So, but if there's a week I expect Chris Jones to look like that he wants to get paid 30 M's. Those are the rumors this offseason from his representation and that we heard on social media. This is the game where he needs to show up and he needs to get pressure and be in the backfield, get tackled for losses, obviously get a couple batted down passes because Tua's on one of the shorter side for quarterbacks. So I would expect nothing less than 9-5 to come out there and dominate. And when he sets the tone, it just lays it out for other guys like Mike Dana George and Charles Omenihu. It lines up perfectly for this defense to have their imprint all over the game. And it starts with Stone Cold for sure.
no, definitely. And I expect everyone to be motivated. Come off a loss, a big game, like you said, all
Absolutely.
the narratives. There's one thing overlining all of this though. Are you worried at all about the time change? Because there has been. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but
Time change.
I have seen. Hey, it's more so than London. It's 6 hours. So but it's
Mhm.
more so than the London game, and I've seen that the team that goes over. I wish I wish I would have written the number down, but like the team that goes over earlier wins more times than not.
Mhm.
And Miami went over Monday, and Kansas City went over Thursday. To adapt to adapt to the time over there. So does that worry you at all? I know Travis said it on the podcast that like he'll play anyone, anywhere, anytime. Like doesn't really matter, and that's great. And I believe that for Trav and Pat and Chris Jones. But like there's some other guys that you know I don't know. I don't know how it's going to affect them.
Mhm. Yeah, it's definitely a change because obviously the last time we went overseas, a lot of the guys weren't on this football team. So we've been
Right? No one
overseas
was
twice.
anyone on this football team other than Trav.
I think it was Trav. Was Winchester here? I
Probably
think it was
Winchester. He's been here
probably
forever. Because I don't
just
even know
those
if
two.
Pat was here or if Pat was it 2017 or was it 2016 when they
I think
played
it
the
was a.
the
I think it
Lions?
was 16. Yeah.
Yes, I don't even think Pat was here.
'Cause we've had Mexico City. We played the Chargers. Then we played the
That was the
Lions
same
overseas as
and that
well.
was the same time zone though. Like,
Exactly. That's not really a change. So most
mm,
of our real overseas games, like you said, going to London is not a big change. This is our first major time zone change with a lot of new faces and new places. The same thing could be said for Miami as well, and hence why they went over there early. But I talked to some of the people around the city this week, and I've talked to some people who work in the media. They told me this is how Andy Reid usually operates. Like he leaves on Thursday. I think most of our international games he has left like on a Thursday or a Friday. So this is usually how they do their business, and they're not going to change it up now. And I think Bobby Stroup, Pat Mahomes' trainer, put out a link today, or not today, but previous early this week, that he shows numbers benefiting if you come early or late. I'm like Chris, I would rather have seen them come a little earlier. Maybe not even
mm,
like Monday, maybe like Wednesday. That would have been nice, just to get yourself like 2 days rest, 2 days prepare, then you can go play. So I think that would have been nice. But if they decided on Thursday, and this is how they operate and do their business, then we have to think they're doing what's best for the players. And obviously, there's no technology that you can't have access to as an NFL organization. If they believe this is what they can do and they can get the results, then we got
yeah,
to see how it goes.
right. And there's nothing to really talk about now because we haven't seen the game. But like if they look
Exactly.
flat if they look
Yeah,
at and
they're
on
definitely going to
Monday,
talk about it.
we're gonna be talking about when we record Monday. Like it's another
Facts.
questionable decision by Andy, who just
Yeah.
puts his foot in the ground and says this is how we do things. And so like, well, I don't. Again, they have so much more access to data than I do, and I understand that. So again, it may not be a big deal, but there's enough
Hmm.
of an inkling going around that leaving earlier is better, to where if Andy basically said this is how we've always done things, and like the 4 times maybe that Andy Reid teams had to travel,
Yeah.
that's going to irritate me a little bit. Like,
Facts.
we already have the QB sneak they refuse to do because of feeling. They already have some of the getting away from the run game that they regular in the mayhem they do on 3rd and short that gets under my skin. Like, if they lose like 28-31, it was a good game. Like, both teams look crisp. I'm not going to be talking about the time change, but if they go out and get the doors blown off of them and they look sluggish like they did against Denver, yeah, I'm going to be questioning Andy's, lacks experience. Like, this is the one area I feel like you can question him. Like, again, I don't
Yeah,
have the
for
numbers
sure.
in front of me, but there's no way he's traveled internationally more than 4 times in his career.
No, for sure. Especially coming off a loss, you know this team never should come out flat because, like you said, there's so much motivation coming into this game. Mainly because you just got your butt whooped, so you never want to come out there and have a bad or a lackluster performance and lose back-to-back games. But overall, because there's so much implication that go to this game, is bragging rights for one. It helps you secure your spot in the AFC. It gets you back on track, and you can go into the bye with so much more momentum. So there's everything riding on this game for both sides of the ball and for both teams. So I expect Andy Spagnuolo to be highly motivated just because I've seen this team come off losses. They usually tend to play pretty well and come out and execute at a high level. Now, the biggest question for us will be how this receiving group gets open because if there's ever a week to, put on display that you figured out your issues, it'll be on prime time at 8:30 Central Time, Kansas City, against the Miami Dolphins on NFL Network, and the whole world's going to see it. So this is the week to do it. And obviously, it's been a long time coming for this offense. They've had good weeks, they've had bad weeks. We just need them to put it together multiple weeks. And if this is the week where they start that trend, and there's no better time than the present.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. It's going to be an
We're gonna
interesting game.
see.
So we'll see how it goes. Real quick before we do our score predictions, do you got? I know it's we're getting a little later in the week. You got any bets that you're placing that you're looking? Because I got one, and we already kind of talked about it earlier. I don't know if it was FanDuel, but I saw that places were getting Kadarius Toney for 9.5 yards, and Justin Watson for 17.5 yards.
You just told me something. I'm about to go lock that in right now. I had a
Yeah,
couple that I like, but I'm about to lock those in.
yeah,
That's
those are two that like I'm taking the overs. Like you're basically saying, does Justin Watson have a catch? And you're
does
basically
KT
asking,
have
does
a catch?
Kadarius Toney? And I was like, the way I
Yeah.
feel like yes. So those are two that
This
I'm
week.
hammering this week. So
No, I completely agree. The plays that I've done some research on that I've really loved this week. Two of them that I really love is it's a parlay I did with Travis Kelsey and Tyreek Hill to score. I
yeah,
think the
I like that.
narratives obviously like there's no way these two guys leave the field and not have a touchdown apiece. I got it on Caesars. I think if you put those two together, it was like plus 295. So
Okay.
that was great value to put those two together. Two biggest guys are gonna get the most targets. Definitely see them both scoring. My other favorite play that I saw, actually, I have three plays. My other favorite play that I saw was it was actually a DraftKings special. They were offering this Travis Kelsey get 5 catches in the first half. I love
Ooh.
that.
Okay.
One of the worst defenses in covering the tight end. I expect Travis Kelsey to get at least 8 targets by the time we even get to the second quarter, let alone 5 catches. So I love that prop even more. I think that was plus money as well. And then my last prop of the day, I did a 3 leg together. It was Chris Jones to record a sack. It was Isaiah Pacheco to score a touchdown and Isaiah Pacheco to get 14 and a half rushing attempts,
Okay.
which I said the stat earlier. When he rushes the ball 15 times, more often times than not, he scores, and oftentimes the Chiefs win. So I think if those three things can line up, Chris Jones getting a sack because their O-line has struggled at times with pressure, Isaiah Pacheco gets a touchdown, and inside getting that touchdown, he will run the ball at least 14 and a half times total. So I did that also on Caesars as well. So there's some good odds and good value out there. But I love the play that Chris just said that KT for what 9.5 and
Mm-hmm.
Justin Watson for 17 and a half yards. That's literally one play for both of those guys. So either one of those I love for sure.
Yeah. I when I saw that, I was like, okay, those basically two guys that you just basically have to catch the ball essentially to
One
hit.
play.
So
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Yeah. No, good stuff. I love the Travis Tyreek to score as well. I think that's going to be, I think there's just too much narrative driven not to at least put a little money on that.
Absolutely, and they both get the most targets, so it
You're
makes
right.
even
Right.
more sense.
Right. Put a little something on it. So, all right. And we always like to finish our preview shows, score predictions. Chiefs are still favorites. They're 2-point favorites. Over unders currently sitting at 50 even.
So it's going to be a decent scoring game. Nothing crazy. Not like too low, nothing too high either. Okay.
So, where are you at? What are you thinking?
I think I saw the number earlier in the week, and I think I had it at right around like 50 to 51. I think it definitely moved down. I think it was at 51 early and a half early this week. Now
Okay.
it's at 50. I think early in the week I had the Chiefs winning 27-24.
27,
Um,
24.
yeah. So obviously the number moved on me, so now it's 50. So if I'm picking it based off today's number, it would be the over. But I think both teams get in the end zone at least three times and definitely hit a couple field goals. It's going to be what team gets that one stop or that one turnover. And obviously, both teams have been known to be explosive on both sides of the ball. Our defense has been known to be very explosive, and we've had a trend of getting one turnover every week. And their offense is obviously, like Chris said, one of the best rushing teams in the league, most points per game, high scoring offense. They've done it all. So I think if there's any a week that Spags need to get out his handy dandy blitz package and try to send out the good old slot blitz that we know is coming from either Trent McDuffie or L'Jarius Sneed. I think we see that a lot this week. I would love to see George Karlaftis get his hands on a tip ball this week. Definitely try to get a tip, force an interception. If we win the turnover battle, I think we win this game. Most of
Yeah.
the times when we don't turn the ball over, we usually win. So win the turnover battle, you win the football game.
Yeah, I like that too. I'm going under and the Chiefs to cover. I'm going 24-20. And like I know 20 points on the Dolphins team seems low, but like it's good defenses against physical defenses. They struggled a
Facts.
little bit. And then
Yep.
even though they went over early, there's still the whole level of playing in another country, somewhere you're not familiar with, not sleeping in your own bed. I I think this Chiefs defense is still underrated. And I think that while the Dolphins I think is a top three offense, maybe the best offense in the league. I think a lot of the numbers are skewed by the 70-point outburst against
Absolutely.
the Broncos. So like
Absolutely.
I'm going under. I'm going the Chiefs to win. This is one of the games I was kind of thinking about. Is this going to be the first time I picked the Chiefs to lose? But I couldn't do it. Couldn't find it myself. I'm going 24-20 Chiefs.
No, both of the games the Dolphins lost this year. It was 48-20 to the Buffalo Bills and 31-17 to the Eagles. So the way Chris is talking, when the defense shows up to play, usually they keep those guys under 21, which has also been the team's trend this year. I hope I'm wrong. I hope we do keep them under 24. I think we probably give up some points just because they're very
Right.
explosive. But if we keep them to 21 and 20 points, I'll be ecstatic. But I definitely think we can get the 27 number.
Hmm.
No debate in my mind. Their defense isn't nothing exotic or special to me, especially when I know Mahomes and Andy are usually cooking up something good. I expect the offense to be executing at a pristine level this week.
Yeah, it's going to be an exciting game. It's going to be an early game. You can enjoy the rest of the NFL slate, which is a good one. Bengals Sunday's good. The rest of Sunday's good because what we got Bengals and Bills
Bills
later on, and
got
there's
Eagles,
another
Cowboys.
Eagles Cowboys, yeah, going on.
Hmm.
So like, it's kind of nice. I know some people aren't super excited about the early game. I'm gonna be cracking a beer probably right at kickoff. I'm probably gonna wait till 8:30. Hold it in as long as I can, and get to watching this game. Excited. But CJ, before we get out of here, where can the good people find you?
You guys can definitely find me on Twitter at CGZ81, CJEEZY81. If you guys want to talk betting lines for the weekend, I'm definitely going to cook up some good parlays for the kingdom. I will definitely be posting them online. If you want to talk about college football, X's and O's, fantasy, off-season conversation, or if you just want to come yell and vent, we have great spaces through the week. If you guys will ever have good conversations, definitely always down to talk for sure.
Yeah, always good stuff there from CJ. And then for me, you can follow me on at 10penny88. Baseball is officially over. So
Ooh,
it's going to be a lot of football then there. No, nothing else being mixed in really right now. And also make sure to follow the aftermath underscore KC on Twitter as well. CJ likes to put it, if you don't want to follow CJ, you can follow the aftermath, which has a lot of his clips that he goes down. So make sure to give that a check too. It sounds like you should just be following both. And then also, hey, give out the KC Sports Authority a follow on Twitter, they're on TikTok. Go to YouTube right now. just find their page, KC Sports Authority, find this video, hit a like, and then subscribe. You don't have to come back to if you want. We would really appreciate it if you did, but I ain't even asking you for that right now. We're just trying to get to the support any way we can. But as always, we really do appreciate you guys listening. It's gonna be an exciting week of football, and hopefully, we're talking about a 7-2 Chiefs team on Monday. So
Victory Monday, baby.
there we go, and that's gonna do it for us this week. We will talk to you next time.
Go Chiefs.